Hey, how's it going everyone? This is White Pointer, and in this video, I'm going to be running through my favourite boss fights from Metroid Prime Trilogy. Yeah! These are some of my favourite games of all time, so any excuse to play them again is fine by me. With Metroid Prime 4 confirmed to be on the way, it seemed like a great time to go back to these games and make a video like this. All of the footage from this video is captured from a trilogy release on the Wii, running on my Wii U. Now, I'm not actually ranking these are just listed in the order they normally appear in the games, and I'll just run through each of the games sequentially. Ready? Let's kick this off with everyone's favourite boss fight, the Spider Guardian from Prime 2. Anyone? Oh, come on, it wasn't that bad. Okay, fine. Here's the serious list. I'll start this off for real with the very first boss fight you encounter in the very first Prime game, the Parasite Queen. Yeah, she's easy and goes down with just a few charge beam blasts, but she's iconic. Everyone knows this fight. She can even be seen in the background of the Frigate Orpheon stage in Super Smash Bros. She also sets the expectation of what you're going to be encountering in boss fights in general. They're going to be big, they're going to be scary. She's the perfect addition to the opening act of a fantastic game. Next is everyone's favourite rock monster, Thardus. This fight is pretty intense. How do you fight a living rock formation? Luckily it has a weak spot that you need to see with your trusty thermal visor that you recently acquired, so this fight teaches you the importance of switching your visors during combat. After you destroy its limb joints and its head, it topples over for good, but not before getting the last laugh as a little stone hits Samus's helmet while she has her back turned.
That really hurt! I'm gonna have a lump there, you idiot!
Meta Ridley from Prime 1. This fight is pretty significant because it's the first time in the Metroid game where you actually fight Ridley in a large outdoor area, which gives him ample space to fly around. And fly around he does, soaring over you while dropping bombs before smashing into the ground to take you on in close combat. Once you've done enough damage, his wings are no longer usable, forcing him into ground combat for the remainder of the fight, but he's no pushover. What's interesting about this fight is that you don't need to switch visors or switch beam weapons or make use of any special abilities or upgrades. It's just you and Ridley, and it comes down to pure skill. The final boss of Metroid Prime itself. This thing is massive, though it doesn't really look like a Metroid if you ask me. Anyway, this fight has two phases. The first is when he's this huge bug-like form, and he has a coloured accent that periodically changes colour, indicating that you need to switch between your beam weapons to hit him. Once you damage him enough, you need to quickly flip into Morph Ball and roll along some trenches to avoid damage. He'll drop through the floor several times until he's seemingly dead. But... uh-oh. I think I've made it angry. That look it gives you. It's pissed. So now phase 2 starts, where he's ditched that large physical body and is now a floating squid thing, I guess? He can only be damaged by hyper mode attacks, and he'll eventually make some phazon pools that you need to stand in that will power up your weapon thanks to your phazon suit. That's nice of him. Unfortunately, he can also make himself invisible, so you need to switch between your thermal visor, X-ray visor and combat visor to see him and get some good damage in, while also needing to deal with Metroids he spawns during the fight. Once he's dead, that's it, but it takes your phazon suit from you. Why? Oh, freaky. Let's move on to Metroid Prime 2, and let's start with Amorbus. Wow, this game turns the dial up to 11 with the size of these bosses. Just look at this thing. Amorbus is actually 3 huge worms that jump in and out of the sand and can combine to fire lasers at you. first you only need to deal with one, then two, then finally all three at once. The goal here is to break the armor that's on their head, which will cause them to fall to the ground and try to suck you in. Harkening back to the Metroid Queen boss fight in Metroid 2, you actually want them to inhale you. So morph into a ball, get sucked in, then drop some bombs once inside them to do you damage. After a pretty grueling fight, a Morbus is taken out and you get the Dark Suit as a reward. Next, Chica, and this one is my personal favourite fight in Prime 2. The battle starts off with you taking on the Chica Lava, which sure is ugly. It'll swim around, occasionally splashing the toxic water on you, until you do enough damage where it jumps onto the platform you're standing on and tries to reel you into its mouth with its tongue. Yeah. Then, just when you thought it was over, the central platform splits into three and... oh.
Mommy's very angry.
The second phase of the battle sees you fighting an adult Chica, a huge flying insect. The goal here is to hit it enough to stun it, then using your grapple beam to swing across to another platform in order to get behind it and fire Seeker missiles at all of its wings at once. Do that and you'll knock it into the water, where it'll emerge in dark form, allowing you to damage its lower egg sac while avoiding the little chicklings it spawns. The full fight is pretty grueling, but never gets boring and forces you to always keep moving and utilise all the tools you have available. It's a great fight. Dark Samus, Round 2. The first battle against Dark Samus earlier in the game really wasn't anything special, but the second bout cranks it up. The first part of the fight also happens on the moving elevator as Dark Samus herself gets it going. She comes prepared with more options to throw at you this time, including being able to boost ball around the stage and a stealth field in her armour making you switch to Dark Visor to see her. The fight is fast paced and intense and really gets your adrenaline going. Yeah, don't worry, don't panic, Quadraxis is here. Quadraxis is a fan favourite and for good reason. He really tests you out on a variety of skills you've learned. First phase, you need to disable its massive mechanical body by shooting at its knee joints, but only when they glow blue. To make things a bit easier, you can boost ball or bomb his feet so he can't create shockwaves, but he has a variety of other attacks available, such as a lock-on laser and a spinning vortex that pulls you in. Once you've taken out all the knee joints, the head detaches from the body and phase 2 begins. Here, the head continues to fire at you while it's receiving sonic transmissions from the disabled body. You need to use your Echo Visor to target the transmitter on the body, which temporarily disorients the head. Using your Echo Visor again, you then need to target the 3 antennae on the head and destroy them. That's it, right? Nope. Now you can finally shoot at the head, but it doesn't do any damage. Your goal here is to once again temporarily disable it. Once you have, you need to spider ball up one of the legs, then time a boost off it at the exact right moment to cling to the top of the head. Once you are there, you need to plant a bomb in one of its weak points. Do that one more time, and finally, Quadraxis is history. On to Metroid Prime 3. Meta Ridley returns in Prime 3 and is actually the game's second boss, so you encounter him reasonably early. This fight is fantastic, as Ridley appears from above you and then drops, smashing into a shaft and taking you with him. The entire fight takes place as both of you are plummeting down. First you're above him, then he flies upwards and grabs you for face-to-face sparring. Then he drops you so you're now below him and he flies after you. He'll grab you to get up close and personal a couple more times during the fight before it's over as well. There's a sense of urgency as you need to defeat him before you hit the bottom of the shaft, or it's game over. The shaft is about 16 kilometers or about 10 miles deep though. That's a damn long shaft.
That's what she said!
It's a really well done, high octane fight regardless, that's done a little differently to most other bosses in the series. Helios is next on my list. This is a pretty cool battle that sees Samus fighting a robot that commands a whole legion of little swarm bots that allow it to take on various forms. These include a huge ball, a giant ring, a tornado, and an enormous humanoid. You need to tackle each form in a specific way using the skills you've acquired so far, hitting it enough in order to expose its core. Once that's finally done, enter Hyper Mode and blast it. You'll need to do this a few times to finally take it down. It's a pretty cool fight due to how often he switches forms and how you need to adapt on the fly to what's going on. Now we come to Gandrada. She's easily the most interesting of the other bounty hunters you need to take down in Prime 3, and the fight is great for much the same reason as Helios is. She's a shapeshifter, and throughout the battle she can take on the form of a berserker, an aero trooper, a swarm of swarm bots, Rundas, Gore, and eventually Samus herself. She's also super agile in her standard form, forcing you to keep moving, and she can even turn invisible, forcing you to quickly switch to the X-ray visor. This is another fight that more or less doesn't require any gimmicks and just comes down to pure skill. You actually see a little bit of emotion out of Samus when Gandrada finally falls too. The final boss in this video goes to the final boss of Prime 3, Dark Samus. You fight her 3 times in Prime 2, but none of them really come close to how intense this fight is. She can still zip around the area super fast, create shockwaves, and fire sweeping blasts and spread shots. But now she can split up and create echoes of herself with the same abilities, and can combine with them to swirl through the air as she blasts phasal energy at you or rapidly spin across the arena to disorient you. She can even team up with the echoes to create constant spinning beam blasts. Oh yeah, and she can also regenerate health too, because why not? Finally the fight is over. Or is it? Dark Samus then jumps into a corrupted Aurora unit. You need to damage the cables that pop out of its head, then hit the wholesale leaf behind, enough to knock it down. Then use the grapple lasso to yank the top of the head compartment open to expose the brain that you can then blast to hell. The Aurora unit has some very damaging wide area attacks though, and Dark Samus echoes also continually spawn during the fight, just to make your life more difficult. Once you've done that... Wait, there's more? Oh yeah, taking a page out of Quadraxis' book, now you need to deal with the Aurora unit's floating head. You need to negotiate laser beams, shock waves, missiles, and a ground-based spinning attack to try to get around to the back of it and blast away at the exposed weak spot where it used to connect to the big cable. Though the job can be made a bit easier if you manage to hit the small part that sometimes pokes out, which will briefly stun it. Once the head goes down, that's finally it, and Dark Samus is also defeated for good. She's vaporized, and the entire planet of Phase explodes. Phew. So, what do you think of all that? Do you agree with my choices? Did I leave any out that you thought were particularly great? Let me know in the comments. I do read all of them. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video too. This one took a very long time to put together. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with my content, and I'll see you next time.